I'm Lu Yan from Beijing Review Magazine, and this is the Governance Podcast, a podcast that explores the past, present, and future of governance in China as it works toward meeting its development goals and finds its place in the global community. 90 years ago, the Red Army, led by the Communist Party of China, completed an epic trek that has come to be known as a triumph of tenacity, human endurance, and military strategy. Confronted with the threat of annihilation by a repressive regime, the Red Army carried out a grueling strategic maneuver that is widely known to have covered 12,500 kilometers, emerging as a more battle-hardened, resilient force and leaving behind an enduring legacy. 10 years ago, in a speech marking the 80th anniversary of the completion of the Long March, President Xi Jinping said, "Every generation has its own long march, and every generation must see that march through." He called on the nation to brave all difficulties and obstacles the way Red Army soldiers undertook the Long March. Before we discuss the march itself in detail, let's take a brief look back at modern Chinese history. The 1911 revolution, led by the predecessor of the Kuomintang Party, brought an end to China's millennia-old absolute monarchy. However, the nation soon descended into fragmentation as warlords vied for power. After its founding in 1921, the Communist Party of China worked together with the Kuomintang to combat these warlords in a bid to reunify the country. This alliance, however, was short-lived. In 1927, the Kuomintang launched violent purges against the communists, who responded by forming the Red Army and establishing revolutionary base areas in the countryside. Between 1930 and 1934, the Kuomintang launched 5 encirclement campaigns against communist bases. While the first 4 were repelled, the 5th proved devastating, compelling the Red Army to relinquish its bases and embark on the Long March. The Central Red Army, or the First Front Army, began its long march from Jiangxi and Fujian provinces. Other Red Army units started their relocations from their own bases in Sichuan, Hunan, and Henan provinces. In preparing for this episode of the Governance Podcast for the 90th anniversary of the completion of the Long March, we asked Bruce Boyce, a Beijing Review reader in Australia, what he would like to know about the Long March. Bruce is editor, lead writer, and a director of Real KM magazine, which focuses on knowledge management. We posed 3 of his questions to Wang Chaoguang, former director of the Institute of World History at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Bruce's first question is as follows.
I have heard of the Long March and know of its vital importance in establishing strong and resilient foundations for the Communist Party of China. But, like a lot of Westerners, my knowledge is limited, so I thank you for this very valuable learning opportunity. I wonder, what are the key things that Westerners should know and understand about the Long March?
Starting in October 1934, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, the Red Army began a series of strategic relocations from its bases in order to break through the encirclement by the Kuomintang regime. In October 1936, the multiple units of the Red Army joined forces in the Shanxi-Gansu-Ningxia border region in northwest China, successfully completing this mass relocation. During the course of the trek, the Red Army crossed more than 10 provinces, covering a distance of about 25,000 li, or roughly 12,500 kilometers. The length of time, the vast distance, the extreme hardships, and the treacherous terrain they faced were almost unprecedented in the history of human warfare. For this reason, the process of this strategic relocation came to be known as the Long March. The Long March embodies profound ideas that are important to understand today. One of these is maintaining firm ideals and beliefs. During the Long March, the Red Army not only had to confront relentless pursuit and encirclement by Kuomintang forces, which far outnumbered and outgunned them, but also had to endure the harsh and treacherous natural conditions along the way, such as marshy grasslands that seemed benign but concealed deadly dangers. The unwavering ideals and beliefs of Red Army soldiers were what carried them through the continuous battles and extreme physical exhaustion, and were further reinforced by the hardships they endured. Their ultimate goal, saving China and its people from threats to their very survival, was forged into a rock-solid faith that has endured through successive generations of the party. Two other ideas from the Long March that maintain relevance today are the spirit of fearlessness in the face of hardship and willingness to sacrifice. Due to severe difficulties in logistics, getting enough food to eat was a pressing problem for the Red Army. Many of its soldiers did not fall in battle, but perished amid the brutal natural conditions. From 206,000 people who set out at the beginning of the Long March to 57,000 who survived at its end, countless comrades gave their lives along the way. It was this willingness to face hardship and make sacrifices that led to the regrouping of the Red Army in Shanxi and ultimately changed the course of China's development. Other concepts from the Long March that carry through to today are the equality that was fostered between the officers and the soldiers. From the very moment of its founding, the Red Army emphasized equality between officers and soldiers, forming a unified whole. Commanders had no special privileges, standing shoulder to shoulder with the ranks, a striking contrast to the old armies of China, where officers sat high above, abusing their power and mistreating the troops beneath them. The Red Army also firmly upheld its identity as an army of the people, devoted to serving them and fighting for the liberation of the toiling masses. Wherever the Long March passed, often through remote regions, the local population, including ethnic minorities, initially knew little about the Communist Party of China or the Red Army. However, every time the Red Army arrived somewhere, it did good deeds for the locals, never disturbed or mistreated them, and always conducted transactions fairly, never resorting to forced requisition. At the same time, soldiers explained the party's and the Red Army's goals, the liberation of the people and the pursuit of their happiness. In doing so, they inspired millions of workers and peasants to join the common cause. As a result, people who had once been unfamiliar with the Red Army eagerly lent their support, enlisting, fighting, and contributing their strength to the ultimate victory of the Long March. Finally, two additional ideas embodied by the Long March that are important to understand today are strict discipline and close unity. The Communist Party of China has always placed great emphasis on strong organization and strict discipline, underscoring unity within the party. It resolutely opposes factionalism and the formation of small cliques or personal networks. Under the leadership of the party, the Red Army followed these same principles. Under the extremely difficult conditions of the Long March, lacking discipline and unity would inevitably have led to disarray and fragmentation. It was precisely through upholding strict discipline and maintaining close unity that the Long March achieved victory. The unity of the party and the unity of the army have always been among the most distinctive features that set the Communist Party of China and the Red Army apart from the Kuomintang and its military forces, and from all old-style political parties and armies of China's past.
These attributes Wang describes were key factors in the success of the Long March 90 years ago, and continuing to adhere to them since the Long March ended has been a dependable path to success for the party up to the present. Bruce's second question refers specifically to the way in which the Long March spirit helps China progress in the face of more recent challenges.
I see the same strength and resilience of the Long March being carried forward in China's recent history, where just as the Red Army avoided annihilation at the hands of the Kuomintang, China has become a global economic, social, and sustainable development leader, despite the efforts of some in the West to try to constrain its development. I'm interested in your thoughts on this.
There is an old saying, "Adversity tempers a person as jade is polished." The spirit of the Long March was forged through the historic struggle of the Red Army under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. Today, this spirit is the continuation, development, and renewal in revolutionary practice of these Long March traditions. The unwavering ideals and convictions, the heroic courage and sacrifice in the face of countless setbacks, action that relies on the people and unites all in common purpose, and the supreme emphasis on close unity and strict discipline were not only the sources of strength that enabled the Red Army to overcome every hardship and obstacle during the Long March, they also became the wellspring of strength that later enabled the Chinese people to defeat Japanese aggression during the War of Resistance from 1931 to 1945, and to achieve victory in the National War of Liberation against the Kuomintang regime and establish the People's Republic of China in 1949. In the subsequent Socialist Revolution and construction in the practice of reform and opening up that began in 1978, and in the development of China in the new era since Xi Jinping became the top leader in 2012, this spirit has continuously demonstrated its enduring power in driving the country's progress. In the first 3 decades after the founding of the People's Republic of China, the Chinese people, through hard work and perseverance, laid the foundations of modern industrialization and accomplished the historic achievement of developing atomic and hydrogen bombs and missiles and launching satellites. 32 years after reform and opening up began, China became the world's second largest economy, with the world's largest and most comprehensive modern industrial system. In the new era, China has achieved the eradication of extreme poverty for its population of 1.4 billion, an accomplishment unseen in human history, while steadily raising living standards, advancing across all industrial sectors to the forefront globally, and earning broad recognition as a major country. All these achievements are inseparable from inheriting and carrying on the spirit of the Long March, which will continue to provide an enduring source of inspiration and momentum for achieving Chinese modernization and realizing the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation, the goals the party has vowed to accomplish by the middle of the 21st century.
Continuing the Long March spirit has provided invaluable guidance and forward momentum throughout all stages of development within the People's Republic of China. But is this value transferable to other contexts in other countries? Bruce's third question addresses emerging challenges faced both by Western nations and the wider world.
For many of us in the West, survival is becoming more and more challenging due to increasing uncertainty and volatility, and also the arrival of AI, which is greatly changing the future of work. What can we learn from the Long March in successfully overcoming these challenges to thrive into the future?
This history and spirit of the Long March reflect humanity's pursuit of universal ideals. Through the accounts of international journalists and media coverage at the time, the Long March once attracted considerable attention around the world. In today's interconnected global era, viewed through the lens of President Xi Jinping's vision of a community with a shared future for humanity, people of all nations can still draw wisdom and inspiration from the Long March legacy. The Long March embodies timeless values, the lofty aspiration for progress and equality, the tenacity to advance civilization, the resolve to fight for social justice, the courage to sacrifice in critical moments, and the steadfastness to endure uncertainty and upheaval. These are ideals that transcend borders, lessons the world can still learn from the Long March and its enduring spirit.
Yes, increasing uncertainty and volatility are creating challenges for countries and people around the world. Many aspects of the Long March spirit are essential for overcoming these challenges. A primary example is the Long March spirit of unity, remembering that all countries should be equal. This spirit of unity can be applied to the challenges posed by AI, reminding the international community that AI should be accessed equally. The Long March is more than just a significant event in China's early revolutionary history. It has become a cornerstone of China's national identity and philosophy of governance. The grueling trek, forced core values that are deeply embedded in the culture of the party and in the national consciousness today, providing guidance and inspiration from primary schools to the Great Hall of the People. Just as they guided the Red Army 9 decades ago, the attributes of steadfastness in belief, willingness to face hardship and make sacrifices, unity, equality, and discipline guide China through modern challenges and toward its modern goals. Throughout this series, we'll be exploring topics related to presidency and how governance is practiced in China. To stay up to date on the podcasts, visit the Beijing Review website, bjreview.com. Find us on YouTube or Spotify with the tag Beijing Review, or look for us where you get your podcasts. I'm Lu Yan in Beijing. Thanks for listening to the Governance Podcast. Bye for now.